Ang ating pag-aaralan ngayon ay mula pa rin sa quadratic equation. Sana ay mayroon kayong natutunan sa mga nakaraan nating topic. Ngayon, ating pag-aralan ang tungkol kung paano makukuha ang roots or solution sa quadratic equation. Narito ang iba't ibang pamamaraan kung paano natin makukuha ang roots or solution sa quadratic equation. Una, extracting the square roots. Pangalawa, factoring. Pangatlo, completing the square. At pang-apat ay quadratic formula. Ang ating pag-aaralan ngayon ay tungkol sa extracting the square root. Natatandaan mo ba ang ibig sabihin ng square root? Alam mo pa bang kumuha ng square roots? Ating subukin ang iyong kaalaman. Remember that a square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself gives the number. Here is an example of a square root. Square root of 4 is equal to 2. Sabi natin, ang square root ay a number na you multiplied by itself. So, 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4. But, wait. Think about if there is any number that if we multiplied by itself is also 4. Yes, there is. That is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is equal to positive 4. So, therefore, we have two sets of number. One is positive and the other is negative. How about this one? So, square root of 25 is equal to positive 5 and negative 5. Kung iisip ka ng number na kailangan ang magiging sagot ay 25, of course, yung imumultiply mo doon ay yung sarili niya, the answer is also 5. Because 5 times 5 is equal to 25. And negative 5 times negative 5 is also positive 25. And now, let us apply it in solving quadratic equation using extracting the square root. So, we have conditions. Quadratic equations that can be written in the form x squared is equal to k can be solved by the following properties. So, meron tayong mga conditions na susundin para ma-solve natin ang x squared is equal to k, which is quadratic term is equal to constant term. So, missing dito ang linear term. So, kapag makakakita tayo ng quadratic equation na ang kanyang format ay x squared is equal to k, yun ay gagamitan natin ng pamamaraan ng extracting the square. Number 1 condition. If your k is greater than 0, then x squared is equal to k has two real solution or roots. X is equal to positive and negative square root of k. So, kung makikita daw natin na ang constant term natin ay greater than 0, pag sinabing greater than 0, all is positive numbers, ang sagot daw natin ay two real solution. So, narito yung example. X squared minus 16 is equal to 0. So, since kailangan nating makita na in the format siya ng x squared is equal to k, gagamitan natin siya ng addition property of equality. We're going to add 16 in both sides of the equation. So, we have x squared minus 16 plus 16 is equal to 0 plus 16. And to simplify, meron na tayo ngayong x squared is equal to 16. Because negative 16 plus 16 is 0. So, to simplify and para makancel natin si squared kay x at ang matira ay ang variable mong x. So, we have square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 16. So, syempre, lagi mong tatandaan, Kung ano yung ginawa mo dun sa isang side ng equation, ganin din yung gagawin mo sa iba para balance. Kailangan laging balance. So, pagkatapos mo na siyang i-square root, so automatic na ang opposite ng squared ay square root, so maka-cancelled out na yon. So, ang matitira mo ngayon ay x is equal to positive and negative square root of 16. So, iisip ka ulit ng number na pag minultiply mo ay magiging 16. Ano ba yon? So, syempre, x is equal to positive and negative 4. At syempre, dahil hindi mo sure kung tama nga ba ang iyong sagot, meron tayong pamamaraan dyan kung paano ka magiging sigurado. Dapat lagi kang sigurado para hindi ka nag-worry kung tama ba o mali ang sagot mo. Narito kung paano mag-check ng sagot. So to check your answer, substitute the values in the original equation. So, dalawang sagot natin. We have positive 4 and negative 4. Ang ating original equation ay x squared minus 16 is equal to 0. So, since si variable ay napapalitan or si x ay napapalitan, tandaan, ang x napapalitan yan. So, substitute na natin si positive 4 kay x. So, 4 squared minus 16 is equal to 0. And we all know that 4 squared is equal to 16. So that will become 16 minus 16 is equal to 0. And 16 minus 16 is always, of course, equal to 0. So your equation is balanced. So if there is no problem, the answer of positive 4 is correct. Okay, for the next equation, we have negative 4. We substitute negative 4 to x. So, negative 4 squared minus 16 is equal to 0. And negative 4 times negative 4 or negative 4 squared is equal to positive 16. So, positive 16 minus 16 is equal to 0. So, therefore, your equation is also balanced. So, our answer is correct. That is simply, we were going to check our answers by substitution. Now, let's proceed to the second condition. Condition number 2. If k is equal to 0, then x squared is equal to k has one real solution or root, and that is x is equal to 0. Simply, if your constant term is equal to 0, no need to solve. It is automatically equal to 0. So we have here an example. We have f squared is equal to 0. So, from our condition, there is only one real solution, which is x is equal to 0. So, our answer is also 0. So, siguro, hindi naman na natin kailangang i-proceed ito sa checking because we already know that f squared is equal to 0 is already equal to 0. So, let's proceed to the third condition. Third one, if your k is less than 0, then x squared is equal to k has no real solution or roots. Example, we have m squared plus 9 is equal to 0. So, para isimplify natin ito, gagamit tayo ng subtraction property of equality. So, meron na tayo ngayong m squared plus 9 minus 9 is equal to 0 minus 9. Bakit subtraction property of equality ang ginamit ko? Dahil positive 9 yun, iisip tayo ng number na opposite niya para maging ang forma niya ay m squared is equal to k. So, hahanap tayo ng number para ma-eliminate si 9. So, syempre, ang inverse ni positive 9 ay negative 9. So, to continue, we have m squared plus 9 minus 9 is equal to 0 minus 9. So, to simplify the equation, we have m squared is equal to negative 9. So, we have in the form of x squared is equal to k. But there is a condition. Your k is less than 0. And if your k is less than 0, you have no real solution or roots. Why? Because we cannot get the square root of a negative number. Since we have imaginary number, so our answer cannot be no solution, but the answer is no real solution. So to summarize, let us remember the three conditions. If your k is greater than 0, you have two real solutions. If your k is equal to 0, you just only have one real solution. And if your k is less than 0, then there is no real solution. That is all about extracting the square root, one of the ways in solving quadratic equation. Sana ay may natutunan kayo hanggang sa muli.